himself. I was just like, I've seen this. Why does this feel awfully familiar? So I'm gonna go a bit into a story time, and I want you to understand something. Certain careers in African cultures, immigrant cultures, are highly coveted and respected. Engineers, accountants, medical doctors, all those good things, lawyers. So Uche is a catch in his community. Do you guys understand? Like, he is a catch. If he doesn't have a girl, I don't know what. And I don't know if there's other issues with him before this, but he's a catch in his community, and that's exactly how he's going to show up. Like, he is the kind of person who thinks, I am the cream of the crop, I am the creme de la creme, like, I'm the best, and you're gonna have to be like at my level. And I'm not saying men only are like this. Women who are well accomplished in their careers in the immigrant communities are also seen as catches. You know what I mean? Like, the immigrant community is all about the power couple. The doctor with the doctor, the doctor with the lawyer, the doctor with the accountant. Like, they are about that life, the six-figure life, the bourgeoisie life, the got married, bought a home next year, bought $100,000 car, had a baby, sent them to private school life. They are about the upper middle class, bougie life. They really are. And when I was just hearing the stories of Uche, and I watched the girl's like interview that she did after she was done with the show, just explaining how confusing it was, and you know what was going on, how her friend Lydia had lied to her, and how Uche had lied to her, and now she was just so confused. It literally unlocked a memory. So when I was in college, I lived in a small town, and there was not a large immigrant population. So immigrants knew each other, you know, all kinds. But then there was a bit more of an African immigrant population that was a little bit bigger. There were other ethnicities, but they tended to work in the city, in the small town we lived with, and then spend most of their time outside in bigger cities around their bigger communities. Whereas the African immigrant community was trying to begin to come together. So there was this community of doctors that was like strangely very open, medical professionals, very open, used to allow us kids to come and hang out. This one doctor loved to party, loved to get together, was living in this beautiful mansion, had a man cave, like the garage was turned into like a little bar. Okay, there was a bar, there was a pool table, there was like lights and everything. It was well set up, and he started inviting people for get-togethers. So the adults would bring and share food, and so it would be like a potluck style, and they would go and be inside the house, and us young people would be chilling in his little side thingy, and we would go and have, you know, and everything. Would go out and drink and everything. Everything was free. So we went there a few times. I went there a couple of times. I didn't want to go, but then one time they're like, we're celebrating a friend of mine's birthday, blah blah blah. So we went, and you know, I was the person who I didn't show up to party often, and I brought the good girls out. I don't know how to explain, but like, I was a girl's girl in college. I think I still am a girl's girl. So everybody knew if you could get me to come out, you could get the girls to come out. And I also was very good at ensuring that the girls were having a good time. So obviously it's always a good get together when the ratios are correct. Even though we were all just kind of like a group of friends, but the ratios were just not ever correct. Good girls that, you know, went to church and all that stuff, those were my girls. And so I was always able to get them is gonna go there is gonna be too drunk to drive you back, and then there was guaranteed going and will come back and is most probably not gonna go to another outing for a few weeks. You guys get the vibe. I'm over explaining that. So we got ourselves together, we went for an outing. It was a friend's birthday, wished happy birthday, bought her a card, all the good things. And then we had such a good time, and we get to meet the host, and the host like, oh, where are you guys at? Why don't you all come out a little bit more, blah 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 and everything. So I have to say this, guys, I didn't feel an obligation to come out that much to party and things like that, and like help keep the energy going, because even though I consider myself part of the African immigrant community, the group of people was mostly Nigerian. So I'm like, sometimes people want to have their things that are like true to their culture, and then sometimes they kind of open it up a little bit more and then open it up a lot more. That was kind of the vibe. So I would feel like sometimes like it's for Nigerians, like this get together is for Nigerians. The food, the music, the vibes, everything, we're in mini Legos. And then sometimes I'd feel like, okay, we're like in like Legos, but like metropolitan, cosmopolitan Legos, where everybody can just jump in and have a good time, everything. And then I met, so when Dr. L was being introduced, he was hyped up so much. Oh, Dr. L so smart, he's so intelligent, blah blah blah, and everything. So I'm like, the heck, wow, this guy and everything. I'm like, so who's his wife? Because I found out he's not single. I'm like, who's his wife? Guess what? His wife was also a doctor, and I'm gonna call her Dr. Mimi. Dr. Mimi was a doctor. She was actually a doctor. Turns out that these guys were in they were kind of it was just a mess. Okay, I'll explain this. Dr. Mimi was born and raised in America with strong Nigerian roots. Dr. L was born and raised in Nigeria and grew up in Nigeria, and he actually moved to the US to be with Dr. Mimi. I don't know what you call the reverse of a passport, but we call it importing. When you bring a man here to the US, you basically import your man, so we call it importing. So Dr. Mimi imported Dr. L, and we would go on and on about how smart Dr. L was, because Dr. L took his boards coming straight from Nigeria, which is pretty hard, you guys. It's very hard to do well in your boards coming straight from Nigeria, because basically you need to change all your understanding and matrix and everything into to match the American standards. So you basically need to doctors take the boards over time through their medical school career, whereas you would be taking all of them basically every year, or however often you want to take them, but every year getting ready to try to get into residency. So Dr. L did it. He did relatively well. You never know with people, but yeah, everyone's like, oh my god, Dr. L did it, he's amazing, so smart and everything. But actually Dr. L failed to get into residency. No. Dr. L struggled to get into residency, even though he had done relatively well. So that's how they ended up, Dr. Mimi and Dr. L ended up in this rural small town, because that was the only town that would give Dr. L residency. And Dr. Mimi ended up moving as well, so she sacrificed her career to her man, and her life and everything to just be with him. And so they're living in this rural town for a few years for her man, and her man is cheating on her. You would think that Gigi is the only person. I mean, she obviously wasn't. This man was a hoe. Now this is the strange thing. First year, I meet Dr. Mimi. She's pregnant. Baby on the way. Second year, Dr. Mimi's pregnant. Baby on the way. And so how I found out all this gossip is that one of my friends was babysitting for Dr. Mimi. And one time, Dr. Mimi just has a breakdown. She's at home. She just has a breakdown because those weird dynamics. But all in all, they were successful. They had their younger siblings there, living with them in the home and all that stuff. It was a mess. And it was a mess. And watching Uche triggered that memory for me of like pretty on the outside or great on paper, ugly on the inside and in real life. And one other thing I wanted to say is Dr. L had a foul temper. Not even like, I'm sorry to say, there are some people who have violent tempers, and you can tell just by looking at them. They look clean but not soft, and they like those people whose eyes get bloodshot when they get angry. Those people you can tell, like when they say his face went dark, he saw red. That was Dr. L, you could tell. So I also feel like Dr. L was both a cheating spouse